Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers, and that's all I have to say. He's still a top 5 quarterback in this league, and there's nothing really anyone can do about it.
Everyone's looking for the young guy. They're looking for McVay. I think take a shot out Todd Bowles, get him a second shot at head coach, and see if he can do it.
I don't think they will. If they don't have Anthony Davis, I'm saying it right now, if Anthony Davis is out for the playoffs, they don't make it out of the first round.
It's crazy. And our kids will know how great Tom Brady is because he's going to be playing.
Yes, it is 15.0%. I swear we didn't script that.
All I could think of was Dame.
6-0. There could not be a better name.
Speaking of young guys, how about the goalie, Ottinger?
He was a 6th-round pick. This is a fairy tale story that's being written in front of our eyes.
That's what the Yankees brought Garrett Cole to do.
They didn't struggle against the Padres. The Padres didn't really put up a fight in most of the games.
Jerry Jones, hope you're listening because this is why you shouldn't have given Zeke this contract. Just thought I'd point that out.
I feel like Luka will take that next step, and if he can get a 3 ball consistently around 35%, I feel like they could become a contender.
While with the Padres and Marlins, I think it's coming in the near future.
They're my pick to win the most rings in the 2020s.
I was shocked by Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Montreal has one of the best goalies in the league with Carey Price.
People like to call them their JV team, and they just stole one of their better players.
Hi, I'm Landon Bowe, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our 70th episode, NHL Semifinals review and Stanley Cup final preview. Make sure to check our 69th episode where we reviewed our way too early NHL predictions and what went right, what went wrong for some of the teams that we predicted. And so make sure to give that a check out. Make sure to check out our new interviews tab. But now let's get off to reviewing the NHL Stanley Cup semifinals. I don't believe either of us scored any points because we kind of got wrecked unless one of us guessed the right amount of games. But that really doesn't matter. What does matter is what happened in the Islanders and Tampa Bay Lightning rematch from last year. What were your thoughts, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, this was a really close series apart from Games 5's 8-0 masterclass by the Lightning. I thought the Islanders may pull it through in Game 7, but the home ice advantage really went to the Lightning's favor, and they ended up taking a win 1-0. Vasilevsky and Varlamov played amazing that series. I think Vasi obviously outperformed Varlamov, but Varlamov definitely deserves credit for him assisting the Islanders getting to that point. But I mean, it's back-to-back years where this was the case, where the Islanders lose, and I feel like they got to keep their core together, maybe make some key draft selections, some free agent moves, trying to get a little bit closer, as they were only one game away from the Stanley Cup final. What about you?
Yeah, and just you talked about the 8-0 score. That looked like just a fluke, but a great job from the Islanders to rebound off that and force a Game 7 with Belivier's game-winning goal in overtime in Game 6. And yeah, I think they do need one key player, but they're definitely on the right track as in this is Tross' 3rd year. In 2 out of 3 years, they've been in conference finals. So they just need to get another player. And I think they definitely need to bring in Belivier back. But I'm not really sure. Maybe another key goal scorer because I think everyone just got really tired near the end in Belivier, Barzell, and Palmieri. And Tampa Bay just did an excellent job pressuring and just always attacking the Islanders' half of the ice. Any other thoughts from you?
Not really. I've been impressed with Trott's performances lately as a coach. His first year, before his first year, I should say, they had missed the playoffs, and then the first year with him, they made it to the second round after sweeping the Penguins. Most people did not think they had a chance. Then obviously the Islanders were swept by the Canes, but the next year they obviously make the rebound to go to the conference semifinals, which then was the conference finals. The conference finals, not the Stanley Cup semifinals. Yeah. and they lost in 6 to the same team they just lost to, and then they took it one step closer, winning one more game. Um, this was their last season at Nassau Coliseum, a Coliseum they've been in since 1972. They won all 4 of their cups there. Uh, so maybe a new change of scenery will put them over the top, and they're definitely on the right path.
Yeah, it's sad to see that we will no longer be seeing them in Nassau Coliseum. But now I think we can move on to the more. Actually, they're all interesting, but probably the most destructive event that could have occurred with Montreal beating Vegas in 6, because Vegas, they promised to get a Stanley Cup in their first 6 years, and then they made that incredible run to the Stanley Cup final in their first year, and they have yet to get back to it. And one key thing is they have a lot of finesse, which we talked about in our NHL episode, the previous episode. But they keep going. They've gone away from like the hard hitting, and the only person that really does that is Ryan Reeves. But sometimes he isn't in the lineup, so they just need to get back to a more physical type of play, but also keeping some finesse. What are your thoughts?
Wow, I did not anticipate this to happen. Where Vegas loses again, and in the fashion they did. I explained this before, but Vegas was really outplayed the last 3 games of this series, and they did not seem like they wanted it as much as Montreal did. I've been really impressed with everything that Montreal's been able to do and their resiliency through injuries, their resiliency through some bad calls by the refs, resiliency through their coach getting COVID. So um, I I don't know what it is with Vegas right now. Maybe they're way too flashy. Maybe they're getting paid too much, and so they don't have the same amount of fight that the Montreal Canadiens do. But something's wrong. They did make it closer than they did last year. Last year they lost in 5 to the Stars. This year they lose in 6 versus Montreal. Fun fact: the last 3 playoffs they have lost in overtime to lose the series. Game 7 against the Sharks in 2018. No, 2019. That was the first round that they lost in with some questionable calls. But the next year they obviously lost in 2020 to the Stars in overtime when Radulov scored that goal. And then this year they lose because of Aturi Lekkonen's playoff goal in Game 6. So they're going to need to find something else to do. In 4 seasons, they've already had 2 coaches, even though they've had some pretty good success. And I think something with continuity has to take place here. They can't keep on rolling through coaches when they're still getting pretty far in the playoffs. I think it's more of a player issue than a coach issue right now, despite the fact that I may be wrong. Um, they have a goalie issue. They're paying their goalies a ton, and while one plays good, sometimes the other doesn't. And while they do have a great goalie tandem, it's just not coming through right now. Um, yeah, they're gonna have to pick up somebody, or they may have to get rid of one of their really big guys to help them get more grit and light a fire beneath them for them to get a chance to get back to the cup.
Yeah, and then I agree. I don't think moving on from DeBoer is a good thing for them. I do agree with the players, and then just on money wise, 7 million for Fleury, and then 5 million for Leonard. But I want to focus on the money towards Mark Stone, which is at 9.5, 7 million for Max Pacioretty, and then William Carlson at 5 million and 900. And that line, if I am correct, did not have a single goal scorer against the Canadians. And that's just bad because you're paying them big money and they need to score goals. What do you want to add?
Well, William Carson isn't on that line. Actually, the center of that line with Mark Stone and Max Pacioretty is Chandler Stevenson. William Carlson led his team in points. He had 5 assists in the 6 games. And while I don't believe he did score a goal, like you mentioned, he's a second line center that I do think of the guys you mentioned performed the best. Um, I think they're probably going to lose one of the 2 goaltenders to Seattle. I would assume. I don't know which one you protect. Maybe if they leave Marc-Andre Fleury, maybe they don't take him. Seattle's going to have a lot of work to do. We're definitely going to do a video before that draft of who we expect them to take on every team. So that'll be coming in the future. But for Vegas, it seems they don't have to. That's right, my fault. Vegas doesn't have to give up somebody to Seattle, but they may be making a trade. So we'll see if they try to move off of Marc-Andre Fleury or what happens. But it's going to be a while for it's going to be a long off season for a team that expected to get much further than they did.
Yeah. Thanks for the catch on the line. And then they have one. They have a couple of free agents that they definitely might want to keep. So they might trade to Seattle. Yanmark, not sure if he stays, but also Alec Martinez, who played incredible. He's an unrestricted free agent. So that's difficult. And then on the opposite side, Montreal just did a great job of playing well. Carey Price was exceptional. Suzuki, and then Eric Stahl and Perry really have done well. Toffoli as well, in really bringing some veteran leadership and just pushing the Canadians, and they really want it, which is a great thing. And we might see the same stat continue of whoever wins the matchup between the Canadians and Maple Leafs wins the cup.
Yeah, I
We'll see.
remember I mentioned that before, but that really hasn't mattered since the 70s. So uh, now we get to see if it holds true. Because if it does, I'll make the same bet as I always do for the Marlins winning the championship if they make the playoffs. But
But you don't include 2020 playoffs because that was
no, because they would
weird.
have missed the playoffs. If they're a top 5 seed, which every year besides that one year because COVID was weird. That year doesn't exist anymore. We totally forget that it happened, and nothing happened during that year that was significant. So we just forget. But yeah, it seems like the winner of that series between Montreal and the Maple Leafs results in winners, but the Maple Leafs haven't won since '67, so it's been a long wait. Montreal was the last team to win a cup 28 years ago in 1993. They won a cup, uh, and wow, it's been a long 28 years. That is wow. That is a very long time ago, and to think that it's been a decade since a Canadian team's even made the cup kind of shows how crazy it's really been. It used to be dominated by the Canadian teams in the NHL. The NHL was a team that was an organization that was only two teams were really winning in the 60s and before the Maple Leafs and the Canadians. The Maple Leafs have 13 cups, and all of them are 1967 and before. That kind of shows you how that works. Unlike the Canadians, who are more consistent, or I mean, I can go into baseball terms. The Yankees have almost won in every decade since the dawn of time. So it's at least those two, at least those two teams have at least won in the '90s, and then obviously the Yankees won in 2000, but the Maple Leafs haven't won since '67. So, I mean, they could show that their rings don't really matter all that much, as there was only like 8 teams in the league versus 1993. There, I think there was 24. But now this Canadian team has history behind them. Shea Weber is a great leader who has never been to a cup. The Predators made it to the cup the year after they traded him to the Canadians, and PK Subban made that run with them. But they picked up guys who knew how to do it, and I do think this shows that experience matters. Guys who've won it before, bringing in those type of guys, it matters. As we saw last year with the Stars, they bring on Corey Perry, and it helps propel them to a Cup Finals. But they had also added Tyler Seguin, who's won it before. If we look at the Tampa Bay side, Tampa Bay last year added Pat Maroon, who had won it the year before with St. Louis. So if we look at these teams that are making it very far, it seems like there are at least one, two, three catalysts on the team who've done it before. Obviously, this year it's Tyler Foley getting brought on. Jake Allen, I know he's a backup goaltender, but he's one. There's obviously Eric Stahl and then Tyler Toffoli. So Corey Perry, Tyler Toffoli, and Eric Stahl, and then obviously, like I said, Jake Allen. There's also Yoel Edmondson, who won with St. Louis also in 2019. So there's a good handful of guys here that they brought on this year that have won a cup and are help leading this team to show them how it's done.
Yeah, and to your point about the Stars, Pavelski has breaks record for he broke the postseason record for the most postseason goals scored by a U.S. born player, so he had a lot of leadership. And then to the Canadians, I think we can transition into the preview now. The Canadians versus Tampa Bay, they have a really tough matchup because, like you said, Game 5, 8 goals scored by Tampa. It's I know I'd be shocked if they get over 4 goals, um, and that might be even pushing it if they get to 4, just because of Carey Price and how he's just been playing well at the net. But it's also a difficult matchup with the Canadians trying to score against Vasilevsky. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so my prediction for what's going to happen this week and the week after, because if the series goes that long, I know the last day the series can go is July 11th. Uh, so the Stanley Cup will end July 11th at the very latest. And then by July 17th, the teams have to say what players they're giving up, and then the draft for Seattle is on July 21st, the expansion draft. So there's a lot of stuff happening soon for the NHL, but I see the Canadians winning this series. Carey Price has played exceptional in these playoffs, and so has Vasilevsky. But I feel like the fight in a team who hasn't done it before, and with veterans who have done it before, and some like Shea Weber and Carey Price who haven't, but are hungry to win it again. Um, I feel like that fight will push them over the top over a team that's kind of on a honeymoon phase. They won last year, obviously, and I don't know how much fight they're going to have. I know Tampa's a great team, and obviously they're way over the cap, and Nikita Kucherov's dealing with some injuries, and Stamkos isn't playing as well as he used to, but it's going to be a hard fight. I see it going 7 games. And obviously, I think if Montreal wins, no matter how long the series is, Carey Price will win the Conn Smythe. Uh, I think Tampa will take both games in Tampa to start the series, and then Montreal will win 2 games in Montreal. But then Tampa will win the next one, and then Montreal will win the last two. Uh, I think Montreal will do the same thing the Bruins did. They'll lose all their games on the road until the last one, the one that matters, happens, and they'll take home the cup. What are your predictions?
Yeah, so I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going with Tampa, even though I would be really happy if the Canadians won because I don't want Tampa to win another one. But I have Tampa in 6, and I have the Conn Smythe going to Braden Point, who sadly could not tie the record for Reggie Leach's 10 goals in consecutive games. Braden Point finished with 9. I just don't see the Tampa Bay Lightning offense being stopped, um, or the Canadians matching that type of offense. The main because Braden Point is incredible. Stamkos, I believe he bounces back, and then um, Victor Hedman will be good. So I believe their offense will just be too much for the Canadians, and I kind of see this magical run just die out or reach its end, similar to how the Stars' magical run reached their end. But any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean we've seen some great offenses go against this Montreal team, and they have one of the best penalty kills of all time now. Only allowing they've allowed 0 goals in the last 30 penalty kills. And while Tampa has a really good power play, I do think that will stifle itself out. Montreal has great defenders, and they also have a very hungry Carey Price. I don't think Tampa is as fluid offensively as maybe it seemed in that 8-0 game. Obviously, they won Game 7 1-0, and they were kind of stifled the entire game until they scored a shorthanded goal that was just kind of a fluke goal that Yandy Orr got wide open on Varlamov and scored. Um, and just for some clarification, that goal streak isn't like for all games; it's playoff games in a row. Just to clarify, but
Thanks.
it's going to be a great series, I think. You're having it go the same distance that the Stars went, and Corey Perry goes back-to-back finals, losing in 6. I don't see it that way, and I think Shea Weber and Carey Price will be lifting the cup at the end. But we'll see what happens. I'm excited for a great series.
Yeah, I'm excited as well, and we will be there to review the end of it and talk about what went wrong in our predictions. Make sure to check out that video or not. It's fine with us. We may prefer it that way. But next episode, we are going to be looking at the most significant wide receivers from the 2017 NFL Draft. So be looking for that, and make sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you know how to do it, or leave a comment, like, subscribe on our YouTube channel. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.